Ooh, I have such a good question for you today. The question is, do you respond or do you react? That's a good question, isn't it? You're like, they're the same thing. They're not the same thing. Do you respond or do you react? So, I am Barbilee. Of course I am. You're on my YouTube channel or my Facebook, or you're watching this on Instagram, or somebody gloriously reshared this. Thank you. Please reshare this if you get anything out of it. The question is, do you respond or do you react? Now, why is this such a good question? Because it makes you think about how you are in relationship to other people and to yourself, by the way. So let's start with something simple, like you're walking down the street and, someone rushes by you in a hurry. How do you respond? How do you react? Right. It depends on, did they run into you? Did they knock you over? Did they say sorry? Were you in a bad mood? Do you know what I mean? There's so many options for you to respond or react based on who? I can't hear you in the back. Who said it? You, right? You get to respond or react. So if you're in a bad mood and you're walking down the street and somebody accidentally bumps into you and they're like, oh, sorry. And you're like, what? Can't watch where you're going. And you might have this fit because you're already in a bad mood. So your energy, you're trying to draw in, you're not trying to, it's just subconscious, but you're drawing in more negative energy. Now, if you're walking along and you're happy and you're, whatever, thinking happy thoughts and maybe being in gratitude, or you're on your way shopping or something, you're like, I'm going to find the perfect dress or whatever it is you're looking for, and somebody runs into you, you might even say, oh, sorry, because you're in a good mood. And you're like, oh, maybe I wasn't paying attention, maybe I accidentally run into that person, right? So your response or your reaction are different. The question is, which one is right? You're like, there's no right or wrong, Barbilee. I've listened to you before, right? There's no right or wrong. It is just what is in the moment. The common denominator is you. Who are you in that moment that's either responding, usually typically kindly, or reacting? What? Are you responding or are you reacting? Another example. Someone sends you a message and says, hey, can we talk today at blank time? And you're like, okay. So you set time aside and this person doesn't call. You text them and say, hey, I thought we were talking today. Oh, something came up, I forgot. How do you respond or react? Well, it depends again, right? It always depends on you. The outside situation can change a million different times, but it's always about who you are in that moment of that situation. So somebody says, hey, Barbilee, can we talk? And I was like, sure. Now it depends on who it is as to how much quote unquote attachment, although I don't really have attachment, I have to that conversation. So if a friend of mine, a good friend of mine, says, hey, can we talk today at 2:30 or whatever? I'm like, check my calendar. Yes, I could call me at 2:30. And then they don't call me. I might get worried because they're like, why do they want to talk to me? So I'll text them and say, hey, what's up? Is everything okay? Now, if it's some random stranger that says, hey, I have some questions about moving to Mexico and I'm going to call you at 2:30. If they don't call me at 2:30, I don't care. Do you know what I mean? I have no attachment to that. I am the same person. I choose my response or my reaction. Now, if somebody was let's say somebody said, I have to talk to you today. It's so important. I only have available at 2:30. And I was like, okay, I can arrange a couple of things. I can be ready for you at 2:30. No problem. And then they don't call. Well, now there's a different reaction, right? Because now I'm like, what? Why didn't you make me be, Or I might say, oh, now I just gave myself 30 minutes of free time. I can still change in every situation. Doesn't that make sense? Just think about that. Think about how much power you have in your conversations with other people. It's insane. It is absolutely insane. I know that when let's say I'm focused on something and, Dwayne's talking to me or what have you. The other day he scared the bejesus out of me. I was just focused on doing something and he came out and said something because I was sitting on the patio. I just kind of screams like, oh, sorry. But of course he laughs. He's not really sorry. Humans are that way, right? We scare somebody. We're not really sorry. We kind of think it's funny, but we say we're sorry, but we're not really sorry because it's funny to scare somebody. I know. We're weird creatures. Anyway, so when I get really focused on something, my reaction might be more reactive, like not really from a kind place sometimes, right? It might be more of a, what the, yesterday a pigeon. Like, I looked like it was going to fly into our apartment, but it stopped on the roof. And I went, fuck, And Dwayne thought I swore at him because I'm like, Dwayne, there's a pigeon on the, and he thought I was like, fuck Dwayne. But he was focused on something else. So we never know how we're going to come across to somebody else. And sometimes we don't know how we're going to respond or react either, which is our own fault. Because if we're not aware of who we are in that moment, so if I'm being cranky Barbilee in that moment, I might have a cranky response, right? I might react more unkindly if I'm cranky Barbilee in that moment. But if I'm blissful Barbilee in that moment, nothing phases me. Right? Nothing bothers me. Nothing says, hey, let's get Barbilee all riled up. It doesn't, because blissful Barbilee is blissful. Now the question is, how do I get to be blissful Barbilee? It's a good question. The question about who I get to be is one I ask myself a lot. This isn't something that I wait until something happens to decide how I'm going to react or respond. It's, who do I want to be? I don't want to be bitchy Barbilee. I want to be blissful Barbilee. So who does Barbilee have to be? What do I have to do? What do I have to think? What do I have to let go of? What do I have to hold on to be blissful Barbilee? Because if I'm sitting in a state of bliss, or I'm walking in a state of bliss, or I'm out shopping in a state of bliss, my interactions, my conversations with other people are going to be that much better. Okay? I'll give you a little example. So I was out the other night and I needed a couple things. I'm so excited I found a new purse. I've been looking for a new purse, but I didn't want one of those plasticky purses. I wanted some sort of material thing. Finally found one in this really light mauve. It's kind of pinky, so I really like it. Anywho, so I'm out shopping and doing that. And then I stopped. And then this lady in Spanish says to me something, and it didn't quite register. And I might have looked a little shocked because I'm just out, looking, what do I want? Is there any little trinkets I want or something like that? And it kind of shocked me. She goes, disculpe. I said, no. I said, estoy aprendiendo español. And then so she says it to me again. And I was like, because it's a package that was in English. And she couldn't read what it says. So then she asked me again. And I said, oui. And I told her what the package said. And she goes, okay, gracias. And then there's a lady standing over here that I kind of was noticing. And she's like, wow, your Spanish is pretty good. And I said, I'm very situational Spanish. I said, but thank you. I said, I do communicate. Like I try my best to communicate. And I said, and she seemed like she didn't want to talk to me. And then I was like, no, I'm learning. Like, it's okay. Try again. But sometimes if I'm in a crappy mood, I might say, no hablo español. I haven't said that for a while. I said it a long time ago when I didn't know a lot of Spanish and I didn't want to frustrate myself to speak the Spanish. That was a choice, right, that I made. But now, so many times, I will try. Unless I'm really exhausted and I know my brain just cannot. But I usually try because I want to be blissfully Barbilee. And not any toxic positivity blissfully Barbilee. It's this absolute, I want to respond always from who I am. And I'm kind of amazing. Like I'm not kind of amazing. I am really amazing. I am kind. I am loving. I am passionate. I am compassionate. I am playful. I am joyful. I am blissful. I am cheery. I'm sassy. You know, I could go on. And I love who I am. So if I ever react from a place of anger or sadness or frustration, that's not who I am. That's who I'm being in that moment. I get to choose that. But sometimes it's really hard in the moment to choose. Like it really is. Because sometimes like if I'm walking down the street with my friends anyway, I'm in a crowd, I might do that. Husband walked in, right? Perfect timing. And I might be, you know, or I'm focused and I'm like, something's bothering me and I can't figure out a problem that I'm trying to figure out or something. And then husband comes and scares me. I'm like, oh, Jesus, don't do that to me. And I might react from that bitchy Barbilee. But then I take a breath and I close my eyes and I remember Barbilee is blissful. Okay. Babe, make some noise. So yesterday, I'm walking out. I'm 5 feet away from you. He starts yelling at me from across the room. True story. Because he didn't want to jump. So he didn't want to make me jump. And that's the responsibility the communicator has, right? Is he's done it once and scares me. He doesn't want to do it. Actually, he's done it a few times. He finally realized, hey, I don't want to scare her. We get to choose who we are on this side of the conversation and on that side of the conversation. And our choices are easier when we're in bliss or joy or happiness or contentment or whatever you want to call it. Tranquility, peacefulness, whatever. Everybody has different words for it. My word, really, is about quality of life. It's about how you're living your life on a regular basis. Your quality of life determines how you respond or you react. So if you fed your body well and you're not hungry and you're not hangry, you're probably going to respond better. If your physical fitness, your body is moving well and you have a good quality of life with your physicalness and you have mobility and, you know, not a lot of aches and pains, then your quality of life is probably better. If you have money to pay the rent, have internet, have a cell phone, then your quality of life is probably better. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people who have great quality of lives with nothing. Because their mindset is their quality of life. Absolutely. But for most of us, I'm a city girl. Like I like the comforts of, you know, electricity, flush toilets, refrigeration. Like I like that stuff, you know. So I think my quality of life is pretty great. I always have food in the fridge, water to drink, you know, someone that loves me, or in my case, I have a lot of people who love me. I have a body that functions. So there's a lot of things about my quality of life that I absolutely love because I get to have a better life. Isogenics is part of that. My delicious shakes, of course. Somebody said to me the other day, do people still drink shakes? Like, I thought everybody's eating real food. And I said, no, actually, there's a lot of people. It's still our number one seller. It's kind of funny. Anyway. So do you respond or do you react? For me, it comes down to your quality of life. Who are you in that moment? Are you happy in your world or are you sad in your world? Because that's going to determine how you respond or react. So I'm going to offer you a deal. Reach out to me. Say, Barbilee, I want to assure my quality of life. I'm going to give you a special code only for June so that you can start with Isogenics, start feeding your body better so you can have a better quality of life, both physically and financially. It's the best place to start. Physically, financially, mentally. Oh, can you just imagine?